of Primetime Publishing Incorporated, Mr. Art Finley, and Mr. Anderson C. Hill II.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. We certainly appreciate it. First thing I'd like to do is say hello to everybody, and it's so good to see you. Everybody's still looking real fresh this afternoon, and so welcome. We're very, very happy to be here. We'd like to extend a very personal well thought to the administration here for inviting us at both locations here, and also a well given thought to Mr. Doug Robinson for inviting us here. We certainly appreciate it. One thing that I'm going to bring to your attention, we had a couple of hundreds of these little small flyers made, and unfortunately they got them all this morning at the other facility. But what we're going to have Mr. Robinson do is I'm going to leave him a copy, and I think at any time you can go by and pick it up at his office. It's the achievements of your dreams. Remember your ABCs. And it's just little motivational entities on here that I use, and I hope that you can also utilize these particular things on here. And one thing about it, not only can you utilize them, but you can pass them on to a friend or to a family member right here, because we never know. We always like to be patted on our backs and have someone say something good to us and about us. They can always do the opposite thing. But it's good to have people say some good things. And a lot of times when you're waking up early in the morning and individuals have family, we need words of encouragement. I know I do. I was very fortunate yesterday to receive this letter from a good friend. I wasn't looking for it or anything like this here, but it was a tremendous picker-upper. Just a few lines and also a very nice poem, just saying, hang in there and keep going. Now, I mean, really, that was like a shot of IV to me. It really spurred me up. Well, what I'd like to do now is, without any hesitation, is introduce a good friend and also a good business partner. An individual right here who is the author of this book, In Search of the Truth. When Anderson came to me several years ago and asked me to help him, first he told me he wanted to do something to give back to the community, because he was an individual, a rising star. He rose very fast from a humble beginning. And also there was a dark side. His star fell hard. But there again, there's a good side. Is that if you keep your proper thoughts and pray properly, you can rise again. But you know, one of the key elements after everything in his life had been taken away from him, he still had what was embedded here and here. Education. I told him this morning, you know, how many of y'all like to eat? Would you raise your hand? Rest of the individuals down here with their hands. You know what? Brewster Tech in an adult centers like this here is a great place for you to get full of knowledge. You can come here and sit down at the table and bring something more to your appetite. Because when you leave and go get a job, you got to bring more than your appetite. Yeah. What can you do? What have you learned? But this is a great place for you to get those things and walk away real full and be very productive in your life. And you're not only for your lives, because somebody's watching you. Somebody's holding your hands in the morning. You're changing diapers. Somebody getting big. They're looking at you as a role model. So now, let me talk about the role model here. He told me that everything that happened in my life, I still become a role model. I said, yes, you can. And he said, I want to go back out to the community, talk to individuals, and tell them, please, don't do some of the things that I do. But if you do them, there's a way to regroup and recover. I can do it, they can do it. Here's an individual originally from Little Rock, Arkansas, an individual that has many awards, many achievements in his life. And he'll tell you probably a little bit about that, but he wouldn't even share with me what his message is going to be. He'll do that. He'll keep those secrets from me. But he's a very dedicated, an educator, an author, and just a plain individual that you can sit down and chit-chat, talk with. My good friend, the author In Search of the Truth, Anderson C. Hill.
I come to you in the name of my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And I want you to know that I can say those words with the utmost confidence because it is He that has led me here today. I used to think that it was me, that it was Anderson Hill that had done this or had done that. But believe me, I was made to realize that I only exist by the grace of God. And I'm not here to necessarily preach to you because I'm not a preacher. But what I am is I am a missionary. I have a mission. I have a mission that's been placed upon my shoulders involuntarily. It was not something that I asked for. What I wanted to do, or what I thought that I would be doing, was at this date, which is November 19th, 1998, if I had to predict where I would be today, I would say that I would be over in Orlando, getting ready for the game between BCC and Florida A&M as a high-ranking officer in the Bethune-Cookman College administration. I worked for Bethune-Cookman for 14 years. Bethune-Cookman sent me to the University of Florida. They paid for my education. I thought, after coming here to Hillsborough County and Tampa, negotiating on behalf of the college with Florida A&M University, that I might be the president of Bethune-Cookman College by now. Many people, not I, said that that was going to be my position. But that was not what the Lord had in store for me. He had something altogether different, something that I had not anticipated. But He delivered me. He delivered me to something that I'm comfortable with in terms of trying to be of assistance to other people. Now, the way that my assistance comes about is a little bit different. Sometimes you could even say that it's a bit awkward because I've done some things that you probably haven't done. I have done some very bad things. Yes, I have all the accolades, the degrees, the awards, used to have the money. Praise God that I still have my wife of 22 plus years and my family. She stuck by me after becoming accustomed to living in the best home and driving the best cars and wearing the best clothes, the Rolexes, the diamonds, and all of that. And I can remember going into the pawn shop, having to pawn those things so that we could pay the water bill, the light bill, getting water out of the swimming pool to flush the commode in a house that cost no less than $350,000 that was on the best hole in Pelican Bay. How did all that happen? Well, I lost touch with God. I lost touch with God because I was a young deacon. I was the youngest deacon at the Greater Friendship Baptist Church. When Reverend Bentley came and asked me, would I sit on his deacon board, I said, yeah. But you know what? I wasn't thinking about the calling. I was just thinking about the position, which was totally wrong. And you know what? It caught up with me. It caught up with me faster than I thought it would. I want to read you just a little portion from my book, just to give you a flavor of where I may have been. Many times when I read from my book, people can relate to it because we all have crossed these streams in our own way. So this is just my way, but I'm sure that you can relate. Now, most of you, I guess, were around. The setting is at my nightclub. The nightclub was on the Halifax Intercoastal Waterway. 3-acre facility, 7,000 square feet. I paid $1 million for the club. It was called the Mirage. It was a beautiful facility. As a matter of fact, part of the decorum was the color of these chairs. It had moving Venetian blinds to automatically move at the touch of a button. Out the windows, you could see boats transgressing back and forth up and down the Halifax Intercoastal Waterway. There was at least 1.5 acres behind the nightclub that when I bought it, I was planning on building condominiums, and each condominium would have its own boat slip. So I'm just trying to give you a flavor of where my mind was back during these days. So now we move forward. I bought the club in 1988, and the turn of the decade is about to come about. Things have gone pretty well for me and my family up to a certain point. One thing that you should pay attention to, the reason that I tell you about the assets that I had and what I was doing was because I want you to know that I had gotten in over my head. You see, I had a staff of 3 attorneys working for me at my law firm. I had the big house. The house notes were $2,500 a month. One car note for the 560 SEL was $1,200 a month. The station wagon was $600. My staff, I was spending probably about $20,000 plus per month. Okay, so, and I did not think correctly. My reasoning was clouded. So I made some serious mistakes. I was greedy. You see? And now, I'm not the only one that's been greedy too now. But see, I use myself as an example. I don't mind being the example because I have been involuntarily placed here. I have no choice but to stand here and tell you what happened. And the reason is to give you inspiration, to let you know that you can go so much farther if you're careful. And don't get hung up with the devil. Because see, I know the devil. I met him. And he wouldn't leave. When I said, okay, that's enough, I had enough. There's the door. He wouldn't go. He said, I'm going to take you with me. But you know what? I didn't go either. Now let me tell you, I'm going to tell you how I stayed in a minute. Okay, I want you just to hear just a bit of this. Because see, a lot of people, when they see the book and they see a real life story about what an attorney should not do, I really changed that. It's a real life story about what a person should not do. It applies to everybody. I don't care what your walk of life may be. And I read, maroon and white streamers hung from the ceiling of the Mirage, and layers of confetti covered the gloss parquet dance floor, as well as the maroon carpeting and the white tablecloth dinner tables. About 1,000 people were jammed elbow to elbow for New Year's Eve. Tuxedos and evening gowns were the attire of choice. I stood 8 feet above the crowd on a stage, dressed in black tails, a white shirt and a black bow tie. A colorful party hat was cocked to the side of my head. I gazed down at Sandra, looking sexy in a sequin and lace black gown, seated at a table with 10 close friends. She looked nervous and mouthed the words to me, "You can do this." In 7 minutes, a new decade would start. The 1980s had begun with so much promise for me. My children were born, I received my law degree and my MBA. I interned for the Central Intelligence Agency, moved up quickly at Bethune-Cookman College, acquired our dream home, and bought more material possessions than I had ever dreamed possible. But my future looked bleak as I braced for 1990 to begin. Have mercy. As I stood watching the reveille, I wanted to run and hide where no one could find me. This club felt like 2 strong hands wrapped around my neck, squeezing tightly. Buying the place had been a dreadful mistake. I thought, recalling the Mirage's checking account that was $60,000 overdrawn and growing daily. Pips, too, was not working out as I had hoped for. Pause for a moment. Gladys Knight and the Pips, 2 of the Pips had become my business partners. And they wanted to invest in the nightclub, and we were going to make the nightclub similar to a Las Vegas style place. And they had moved to Orlando back during that time, and they had started an ice cream operation. So they would come back and forth from Orlando to Daytona to visit with me, and they were so attracted to the club that they were going to invest. Now, so I'm going to move to what happened next, and then I'll start filling in some of the blanks for you. The steel guardrail was slippery from the gusty rain. I wrapped my left arm around an antique-style light post to keep my balance on the edge of the high-rise bridge 500 feet above the Halifax River. From my perch, I could see the neon sign on the building that had once been my Mirage nightclub. The new sign said Billy Bob's, a country western restaurant and bar, which had attracted big crowds ever since it opened. As I stared into the nighttime sky, the rain pelting my face, I found it fittingly ironic. Not long ago, I was pulling up to the Mirage in my big Benz, handing out cash and partying nonstop. Tonight, I parked near the Port Orange Bridge in a 6-year-old Buick Century. The Benzes had been repossessed, and climbed onto the guard railing to commit suicide. So in other words, the message is, I went from the top to the bottom. But I want you to know the way that I was able to get back up. The way that I was able to get back up was to tell the truth. First of all, I had to take a good, strong look at myself. Now, what I had done, y'all, is that I had signed the president's name on a loan instrument that he had no knowledge of and that he knew nothing about. Greed had overtook my soul. Now, as a lawyer, and as a good lawyer, in terms of strategy. I knew the way to get out of it. The way to get out of what I had done by me and my partner, which was Art's childhood friend. You see the way things work? His childhood friend and I, we were doing construction for Bethune-Cookman. I was in charge of all of the construction for the college. The United States Congress had given to the college $15 million to construct the Mary McLeod Bethune Fine Arts Center. When that happened in the mid-1980s, that's how I started making a lot of money, okay? That'll help you fill in the blanks on. I don't want you to think I stole to get there. I didn't do that. I thought that I would always make $300,000 and $400,000 a year. But that's what I'm saying. I made a serious mistake. I made an error in judgment. See, it's better to ride around in an old car like I'm riding around now in and be happy. Amen. Than to ride around. I'm here to tell you. I'm here to tell you because I've seen it. I've been to the White House. I mean, when I worked for the CIA, I've done reports for President Reagan. And so I've had the opportunity to see a lot of different things. In my book, I have letters from the Central Intelligence Agency that talk about my work. I have letters from the FBI that talk about my work. Because people would not tend to believe some of the things I'm saying. Anyway, back to the point. See, what messed me up was greed, number one. Number two, well, if this check had cleared, this is a check, and I always carry, I keep this check with me, okay? This check is for $350,000. Okay, it's not worth the paper it's written now. You don't want it. If I drop it, it won't do you any good. You know, it's only for exhibiting purposes. But just think if it had cleared, everybody. Just think if this check had cleared. See, this is the check that Bill, my friend, that was doing construction work with me, we went to the bank, told the bank that the college owed Bill $350,000. So the bank agreed to loan Bill $250,000 because the bank thought that it would receive $350,000 within 30 days. So what I did, ladies and gentlemen, was I lied to the bank and said, yes, everything that Bill told you was true, and you will have your money within 30 days. Now, the reason I did that is because I actually thought we would have the money within 30 days. Now, if this check had cleared, y'all, I probably would be still drinking liquor, drinking Cavassier, snorting cocaine. See, if this check had cleared, I probably would have still been a miserable person. Or dead. You can say that again. Or dead. Because I really believe that's where I was headed. And so I'm glad that this check didn't clear. Now when this check bounced, let me tell you what happened. First of all, the FBI came. And you know, it's something else. You know, you get so used to looking at things on TV and you know, as human beings, we love to make assumptions, like we know what's going to happen, right? And so I thought, as a lawyer, I knew the way the FBI would come and get you and search your house and all that kind of stuff. They didn't do that, y'all. The man called me on the telephone. He didn't even come to Daytona. He handled everything by telephone. He made me come and turn myself in. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, the kind of things that you get used to on television and just like I'm telling you about the CIA, the things that you see are a little bit different from real life in certain circumstances. Now, had I not shown up, you know what I mean? Then they would have easily come and gotten me. So I knew to go, okay? But it was the strangest thing because he called me and he had a very nice, mild-mannered voice, and he asked me about the bank loan, and I tried to tell him that everything was going to be all right. And at that time, my world, as I knew it, started to fall apart. So what I did, I developed a strategy. I used my education. I used my training as an attorney. I said, okay, what I'll do is I'll lie on Dr. Brunson. I will say that Dr. Brunson gave me permission to sign his name on those bank papers and that he knew everything about what Bill and I were doing. Now, I had people in the community coming to me saying, you know Dr. Brunson knew about it, you know it. They were trying to urge me to lie, or at least say what would fit. You see what I'm saying? Because didn't anybody believe that you had me and Bill being able to go in the banks and get that kind of money? They just didn't believe. They said, now the president of Bethune-Cookman, yeah, sure, he can get it, but not his lawyer and some general contractor. And I had to struggle. I had to struggle. I lost so many sleepless nights, tossing and turning back and forth, looking at my wife and my kids and calling my mother, just trying to figure out what to do. But one day, something came to me. All the years of going to Sunday school and being in church paid off. Because a scripture came to me that says, what profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? And I understood what that meant. You know, that became the words became clear to me. And that meant telling the truth about what happened. Now, Bill came to Tampa, Florida. Bill bought interest in a hotel on Dale Mabry, okay? And so Bill thought that I was going to lie on Dr. Brunson and some other people. And he was almost right. But I didn't do that. I told it like it was. I told that I signed the president's name, and I ended up going to prison. I ended up going to prison for 10 months in federal prison. I lost everything that I had, the house that you heard about, the Mirage, the cars, everything, but what was the most important thing, I didn't lose that. And that was my wife, and my family, my children, and my health. As a matter of fact, I got in better health, because when I went in, even though inside, you know, they getting high in there too, and they drinking in there too. But I said, I'm not going to be a part of that. And ever since then, I don't drink beer. I don't drink any type of wine, champagne, nothing. Because see, I have a problem. You might not have a problem. I'm not saying don't do this or don't do this. That's not my message. My message is I know what's right for me, and I want you to learn what's right for you. Because we are all human beings, and we're all different too, in our own ways. So thank God I was able to discover what makes me tick, what makes me feel good about myself. And that's being able to stand firm and being able to come to you and ask you to, first of all, to continue with your education. Because as Art said during the introduction, if I didn't have my education, I don't know where I would be right now. You know, because people tend to turn their back on you when you do the wrong thing. And they have a right to, too. I'm not saying people are wrong by doing that, because I did something that was very bad. Okay? So I didn't deserve some of the friendships that I thought that I should have had at that time. So, but at the same time, see, when things happen to you, sometimes you can't readily recognize what's going on. And for a long time, I thought it was a good thing, when really it turned out to be something bad. And also, when I thought that the money that Bill Williams was giving to me was going to help me to continue to live, it really helped me to get buried further in the hole. But since that time, you know, I lost everything. And one thing that I wanted to do was that I wanted to come back. I wanted to come back to Central Florida. I wanted to be able to come back to this place like Tampa, Florida, and look people in the eye that I let down. And first of all, apologize for my shortcomings, my greediness, my abuse of alcohol, abuse of drugs. You know, as a person that made history in the state of Florida, to be the first person to get the law degree and MBA simultaneously from the University of Florida, to end up in prison, it hurts the whole community. Because a lot of us, a lot of you, won't get certain opportunities when you have people wasting them away. And see, I wasted things, so now I'm in the catch-up mode. And the best way to catch up is to help other people. Thank you very much. I am so dedicated to the mission that I am trying my best to be as effective with it as I possibly can be. The only way that what we're doing right now will work is for you to avoid those situations that you may not readily see. And if you get involved in it, or your family members, you can come back. In closing, I just want to tell you what happened to my son. My son is 24 years old. One of my sons, I have two. His name is Gregory. Gregory was riding with a friend out in Texas. He was asleep. He was stopped by a state patrol officer. Now listen to this. I just want you to listen to this, because I know you're going to think one thing. In the car, in the panels, $2 million worth of cocaine. $2 million. My son got out and told the police the truth. He said that the reason that they had gone from Oklahoma City to Texas, Houston, was for a friend's wedding. The driver of the car said that they were down there for several days, that they had been partying. The driver didn't want the police to think that they had gone down and come right back. You know, that's where they curry money and drugs, right? My son didn't know anything about it, y'all. And I'm telling you, this is the truth. It's in the book. $2 million worth of cocaine. You know what happened to him? He called me from the jail. I called the police officer that arrested him. Told him that a little bit about my problems and that I had gotten in trouble. And I asked him what happened with my son. He told me that he believed what my son told him. I told him, thank you, sir. Okay? It ended up, he said that I'm going to put this in the report. He did that, and my son was never prosecuted. Because see, he didn't, I'm serious, he did not know. He was not involved in the transaction. What he was kind of like his daddy. I guess it runs in the family. It's just being kind of dumb or naive to certain situations. You know what I'm saying? But he had gotten involved in it. He could have easily have been prosecuted for it, and more than likely he could have maybe even been convicted of it. But because he did what? Told the truth. And that's what I'm trying to do, is tell the truth, because see, the truth will set you free. Whether you want to believe it or not, the truth will let you be able to stand firm. And see, I don't have to look around anymore. I don't have to worry about who I might see here at Brewster Technical that knows me if I wasn't singing the right tune. See what I'm saying? And it's a blessing. It's a blessing. Now, it may have not been what Anderson Hill expected it to be on today's date, but it's what I am supposed to do. And I hope, and I pray, and I urge you, first of all, to treat other people kind. You know, because we all have our problems. You know, it's easy. I could have come in here and told you a whole different thing. I could have talked about going to the University of Florida, going through the MBA JD program, and you can do it too. Something like that. And smile. I could have done that. Don't think I couldn't do it. But I want something to burn in you. I want something where you can go and maybe go to somebody else and help them if you can. And I also want you to complete your education. I think that I talked a little bit with some of the administrators. I think that you're in some fine programs. I think that you have a great opportunity, and I think that you can go very far and help other people to go farther. So I commend each and every one of you for taking out your time and listening to me. I hope that you will remember the book in terms of just maybe passing the message on, because what I want to do, my main objective, is to prevent somebody from going down the same road that I did. That's my bottom line message, and that's what it's all about. And God bless each and every one of you.
Interview session, that person didn't have hospitality skills. And it was worked for me in my earlier days, because that was when I was getting into it and learning. But you got to at least get a smile on her somehow.
She smiled when she was leaving.
No.
She smiled.